Hi Felt Hub, quick video tutorial today on how to make my favourite mat, which is the rice filled Hessian mat. You can also put dried lentils in there as well. I have done a tutorial on all the different felting mats that are available, but if you just want to know one mat that is a good all-rounder that will do all of your needle felting projects, where you can use all of your needle felting tools, including the multi-needle tools, then the Hessian mat is really your best go-to for the best all-rounder. I use mine all the time. The only thing I would say is if you are doing a lot of larger pictures, then I would opt for the foam, a larger foam mat with a wool felt topper on, because that's just much easier to work on when you're working on something large and very flat. But I've done lots of small flat felted pictures on the Hessian mat. It's brilliant for flat felting, and you can use the 7 needle punch tool on it as well, so it's absolutely fantastic. It's a great base for all of your needle felting projects, from large to small and easy. And I am going to show you quickly today how to make it with a piece of Hessian. And if you don't have to have just, you know, a piece of Hessian, have you got a shopping bag, an old Hessian shopping bag from the supermarket? I've used those before, but this is just a piece of Hessian. It's quite a close weave, not so close that it blunts the needles when you hit it, but not so, see that? Not so open so as that the rice comes through. So finding the happy medium is a bit of trial and error, but on my new blog post that's coming out, I will be popping up a new fantastic blog which gives you all of my suppliers lists, and you'll be able to find out where to get the best Hessian from, and the one that I've used for years. Okay, so let's make a Hessian mat. Okay, quick lesson on how to make a Hessian mat, super easy. The one I have, I actually use my overlocker for this, but most people don't have an overlocker. If you do, use it because it gives you really nice neat edge. But if you've got a sewing machine, then you can just turn your mat inside out if, for example, you're selling them and you want a nice neat finish. If not, I'm just going to quickly whip around the edges to show you. So my mat here has got a wool back and a Hessian back, but the one I'm doing is going to be a double Hessian back. And I've just cut up a little piece of Hessian, folded it in half, and if you fold it, then it saves you actually sewing that edge. So here we go. So needle in, any sort of medium stitch will do. I've got this on a number 7, so yeah, that seems good enough for me. So I am just going to whip round quickly, make sure I've got my foot on the right one. There we go. And just going to go a couple of stitches forward, a couple of stitches back. And remember, you can do this by hand quite easily as well. You don't need a sewing machine. Okay. And then we're just going to stop before the end with the needle in the Hessian, sure it is, and then I'm going to lift up the back, turn that round so we can follow this line round the other side. And again, make sure that needle is in and turn it. And this time we're going to leave probably about at least a 3-inch gap, because this is where we're going to put in the rice and sew it up by hand. Okay, so the bobbin just ran out, which is typical, but we'll get this threaded on. So I've just taken the bobbin out, popped it up here, changed the setting up here just to wind it on. There's something quite relaxing about that noise. I have to say, I have had this Toyota sewing machine probably, I would say, for the best part of 20 years I've had this machine, and it has never let me down. It is just simple, easy to use, no bells and whistles. In fact, I can't even remember. I'm sure I have changed the needle. I could never confess not changing the needle in 20 years, but I have absolutely changed the needle, of course I have. But it just pops in very, very easily. And then take our bobbin again. Make sure the settings change back, and then just pop it round here, there, bring that up, down, around, back, down, around the little hook at the base. Now, overlockers are amazing machines, but as many of you who have an overlocker will know, it's not as easy to thread as this because it's got the 4 threads, but once you get used to them, they just create the most beautifully neat finishes. And if you're making these mats to sell, then I would definitely advise buying an overlocker, just because of the speed and the neat finish that you get. But if you're just making them for yourself at home, then hand sewing or a sewing machine does the job equally well. There we go. Just snip those ends off. And we are ready to go again. So I'm just going to start from this side, which is where we finished off. Pop my little trolley on back in. Pop it in, and I'm just going to start before I finish so that I'm securing that thread. And as I said, you can do double edge, you know, go around and do it again just to save any openings arising later on, but I don't normally have any problems. So just pick that up with the needle in, down and across the short length at the bottom now. Pick it up, make sure the needle's in so you've got a nice turn there so you can continually sew in one go. And then we're going to stop about here. I'm not notorious for my straight lines, so please don't worry about it being perfect. Of course, unless you're making them to sell, then that's a different matter. They need to look nice. But if it's just for you, just whichever way works. Now I'm just going to press my little button down here and go backwards and then forwards and then backwards and forwards again, just to strengthen that last stitch. Lift that up, pull that out. And there we go. And like I said, for double strength, you could actually go around and do the same again, just next to the original line or just inside the original line. And then if you really wanted to, you know, you could leave a bigger gap, turn it inside out, fill it with rice, but I'm not going to bother doing that. So the next thing we're going to do is fill it with rice. So the first thing you need to do is get a bowl before you start putting your rice in your bag, because I guarantee you it will end up everywhere. And then what I do, this is some old rice I kept from some previous bags, so it's dried rice, it never goes off, so always reuse it. You could use lentils as well. And then just slowly fill up the bag. And I use either a paper cup because it's flexible, or you could use a funnel or a flexible plastic cup. Always does the job really well. You can see now how that's starting to fill up. The bag is now nice and full, not over full, and I'm going to try and be a bit cheeky and sew this on the machine. So I haven't overfilled it anyway, so if I just put a little couple of pins there just whilst I sew. This is, my daughter made me this when she was about 7 or 8 maybe, and she's 24 now and I'm still using it. We're so sentimental, aren't we, over our kids' stuff. There we go, so pop a little couple of pins in there, and I'm going to see, I hope this doesn't end up disastrously wrong. If it does, of course I will edit it out. Just bring that there, and I'm just going to start there, and in fact I'm going to risk taking that one out. Bring that down, because I'm just too lazy to get the sewing needle out, which is absolutely ridiculous. There we go. Another one. Keep going. Right to the end. And then backwards and forwards. Lift that up. Needle up. Got away with it. Got away with it. I'm just going to go back to where I started here and just do another stitch down there just to secure it. And then double back to secure that. And it ain't pretty, but it is a very quick way of doing your mat. And then you can trim all these bits off. And like I said, if you want to make it extra secure, do a double edged, but I haven't bothered. And then it's just nicely flat. It's not packed. It's just nice and flat, ready for you to put a topper on. Always, always, always use a topper. It will just make the life of the mat last 100 times longer than it would without. And then when it does eventually wear out, it's completely biodegradable, so you can put it in the recycle bin, use the rice, and make another one. And like I said, if you are making them for business, I used to offer the Hessian, and then I used to offer the double-sided one. But what I did as well, which I thought was a nice touch, don't have to do it, but I used to have a little label, and mine says felting and fabulous, because obviously if you are felting, you are absolutely fabulous. And I would just sew that on, and it would just give a nice finish to the mat and make it look more handmade and professional. So that is how you make your Hessian mat. You are now ready to crack on with your needle felting projects. So off you go. Thanks for joining me.